Why do we choose to live where we do? Is it habit or something much stronger? Are the bonds of family, culture and heritage simply too strong to break? Since the Prime Minister Tony Abbott described the decision by Indigenous Australians to live in remote communities as a lifestyle choice, communities right across the country have been digging in. They're increasingly worried that that will mean less funding for remote housing in the future. But it seems there are already some places that have been forgotten. Jane Barden reports from the remote Northern Territory town of Elliott.
On the edge of Elliott, children play and collect bush tucker at the local waterhole.
This is what a dangala look like. When you put it in the fire, this part is cracked open.
Connection to the land, family and culture are what's important to the Indigenous clans who live here.
We'd like to get the government people to see that people are living out here, and we...
Put it down.
We don't want to leave our country, and we want to stay here and live here for our future,
On the Stewart Highway, halfway between Darwin and Alice Springs, Elliott has the same services as any other remote country town. There's a police station, a clinic and a school where many locals work. But the town's Indigenous communities, Gurrugu and Willagu, have been bypassed by the Federal and Northern Territory government's $1.7 billion 10-year remote housing programme, which winds up in 2018.
I think people forgot about Elliott once when the funding was rolled out.
And there are few communities that need the money more. The residents have among the worst living conditions anywhere in Australia. Laura Jackson is despairing about the state of her home. The toilet floor is collapsing.
Feels like it's going to cave in soon with the tiles not there.
Her disabled stepfather can't get into the bath.
So you basically have to get someone to lift you out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have slipped.
12 people from 3 generations live in the one house.
We need the government to help us out without renovations and that. We don't want to keep living in houses like this. It's not livable, it's not healthy for our kids.
Sean Bryan is a full-time carer for his sick grandmother in this 2-bedroom house.
With the changes, I wouldn't want to live in a house like this. I wouldn't, especially with my grandmother.
Up to 16 people live here at a time.
That could be bad. Probably with 10 sleeping in one, all in a row.
Most of the residents pay a small amount of rent to the local Barkly Regional Council, and many are now wondering why. The Barkly Council uses that money, along with about $2,500 per house in government funding, to provide running repairs. But Chris Need, who heads up the council's housing maintenance team, says there's simply not enough money to build new houses or do major renovations.
We've been told that there is no money for nothing.
And how does that make you feel?
Like lost, I suppose, left out. You don't want to be in Elliott anymore, I suppose, a place where you sort of grew up,
The Barkly Regional Council estimates 80% of the Indigenous community houses in Elliott are beyond repair. It's warning that the contributions being paid towards maintenance by both the Northern Territory government and residents aren't nearly enough to stop the houses continuing to deteriorate.
Right, ladies and gentlemen.
A recent council audit of the town's 48 Indigenous houses found that at least $25 million must be spent urgently or the houses will become uninhabitable. The Barkly Council wants the Northern Territory and federal governments to take responsibility for the housing here, as they have in other Indigenous communities. It points out that the Territory government's own child protection authorities have ordered some residents to fix their homes as a condition of keeping their children.
Oh, it's third world. It's not. It's just not up to an acceptable standard.
In an ideal situation, what do you really think needs to happen here?
Oh, look, we just need 50 new houses.
The Northern Territory government says it doesn't have the money to build new houses in Elliott.
Most of that funding's committed, but hopefully Elliott will get something further down the track.
Look, I will do my best and support the people of Elliott.
The Federal Indigenous Affairs Minister has pushed the issue back onto local authorities, saying under current funding agreements, the Northern Territory Government is responsible for housing. And the Prime Minister's recent comment that the federal government can't endlessly fund remote lifestyle choices has added to the uncertainty for residents. They've taken it as a hint that they may never qualify for housing assistance.
Sad, really, because, you know, we need government to help us. But yeah, they're pushing Aboriginal people aside.
It's not fair that we have to suffer. And, you know, if this situation happened in a city, it would just be fixed just like that.